just texted me the lineup.
A rare elimination game coming up that involves Troy Post 70 as they suffered their first state tournament loss since 2019 in our third of 5 games today. This is an elimination semifinal round game featuring Foley Post 99 and Troy Post 70. Troy Post 70 wearing their scarlet tops and the white bottoms. They will be the designated visiting team, albeit occupying the third base dugout for the final game of the day for both Foley and Troy. James Hardy with you as we appreciate you for joining us here on JockJive.com. We are underway as a first pitch rip into left field, and that gets through for a base hit, as that'll go all the way to the wall as rounding second and heading to third base and slamming on the brakes will be Troy Post 70 as a first pitch swing off of Bryant Banks goes all the way to the wall for an extra base hit and gets Troy in business. As we mentioned, a rare time that they have to play an elimination game in the state tournament. It's a runner in scoring position now to get things started. Our next to final game of the day, and still one more game to go between Shelby County and Daphne. A swing and a miss as the strike call. Brady Richardson able to reach base with the triple, and now Tabor Offord with his first at bat of the ball game. 2 balls and no strikes now the count. So I imagine we'll see a similar lineup that we saw in the prior game against Shelby County for Troy, as that's hit the opposite way, caught on a basket catch, as having to remain at third base is Brady Richardson. So Richardson still over at third despite that hot shot caught by Colton Watkins. So Tabor Offord lines out as that's knocked down over at first. That'll get the run home and also get a runner aboard at first base. We'll see how they score that, as there's now one down with a runner at first base and Troy striking first. I imagine they'll have a lot of frustration that they want to try and take out in this ball game. Foley won earlier today in an elimination game over Tuscumbia 4-3. That was the 9 a.m. game today. As we continue to the cleanup batter in the order. The game one pitcher, Ethan Walls, at the plate. Walls not a very effective start as far as his command on the mound. But he'll have another opportunity when it comes to trying to get some production offensively. One down runner at first as the runner goes hit and run. Throw down, a good one, but not in time. So a runner at second base as the stolen base puts a runner in scoring position with less than 2 down. Walls swings away and fouls it off and makes it now 1 ball and 2 strikes. So they did rule that prior ground ball in E3, as that was the first Foley post 99 error of the game. Downstairs. This is the 4th game of the week for both of these teams. The loser of this match will have their tournament run come to a close. A slow tapper off the front foot and goes foul. Shelby County post 555 will take on Daphne later on tonight. Getting things started a little bit earlier in this one. Been a long day from an event management standpoint, as we've been basically the press box personnel, including yours truly. I've been here since 8 o'clock. A lot of the personnel working this event. It's probably been a lot earlier than that. 5 games on tap today in total as a liner into center field. Ethan Walls gets his first hit, and that goes under the glove of Tuberville. That's going to go all the way to the wall and score at least 1 run. Stopping at third base now is Ethan Walls. So give that an RBI single, and then also an E8 to allow Walls to advance all the way to third. So 2 errors in the inning as 2 runs have come home to score. A total of 2 hits plus a couple of errors, as Troy in business here in their opening at bat. Caden Boutwell at the plate. We have not gotten officially as far as the full starting lineup for Troy, so we're piecing it together up here in the press box. Now for Troy, post 70, certainly making their presence known already with a 2 spot here in the opening inning of play. They were up 4-0 in their prior game over Shelby County before Shelby County 555 was able to put 6 on the board in the decisive 5th inning for the 2-run win. Hitters count for Boutwell. That's taken for ball 3. Bryant Banks gets the call on the mound. A rough start so far. And that's inside for ball 4. So the winner of this game will go into championship Sunday tomorrow. Now the opponent still to be determined. Depending on what happens later tonight, could have 3 teams remaining for Sunday, or just 2. But what we do know, the winner of this game will play the first game tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So runners now at the corners after the Boutwell 1-out walk. Pitch upstairs for ball 1. Snap throw down, not in time. Jake Franklin batting a couple spots down in the order in this ball game. Was the designated hitter and came on at first base earlier today. Struck out twice and flied out. Was 0 for 3 against Shelby County post 555. 2-0 pitch. There's a strike call. 2 balls and 1 strike. Walls over at third. And then Boutwell on at first as that's hit into left field. And racing from third after tagging was Walls as he comes home to score on the sacrifice fly. So 2 down. And now Troy with their third run of the ball game on the sacrifice fly to left. So 2 down. Walls comes home to score and bring up the 7th batter of the inning. A grounder over to the left side on the first pitch, and flipping to the short route is Brazil to Bettner to close out this top of the first inning. But a productive inning nonetheless, as Troy gets on the board first with 3 runs on 3 hits. Or check that, a couple of hits, 1 error, 2 errors, and they left 1 on base. So we go to the bottom of the first inning. Troy with a 3 spot on the board as Foley will come to bat here on JockJive.com. We'll go to the bottom of the first inning. Let's take a look at the Foley batting order as they'll go up against right-handed pitcher Jake Franklin for Troy. Foley post 99 will have Ethan Bettner lead off at second, followed by Cooper Watkins in left. Bryant Banks, the starting pitcher, bats third. Colby Jordan, the third baseman, in the cleanup spot. Colton Watkins in right bats fifth. Then James Paul Nutzi, the catcher, bats sixth. Brady Nichols in the 7th spot at first. Shortstop Hayden Brazil 8th, and Mitchell Tuberville and center fielder at the bottom of the order. Should be a similar alignment for Troy post 70 that we saw earlier today against Shelby County. Richardson at the familiar shortstop spot. And then also looks like Evan Taylor gets the call at third. I don't see many changes as far as the Troy defense, as the first pitch grounder on 3 hops. And a little high throw. And, in fact, a bad throw gets by the first baseman. Brody Jones, who started in left field earlier today, now at second base and airmailed his teammate over at first base as a runner now at first with nobody out on NE4. There's a first pitch little looper and just foul down the left field line. So we got the infield for Troy defensively. It's Taylor third, Richardson the shortstop, Jones at second, and Walls the call over at first base. Troy trying to bounce back off the mat after a 2-run loss earlier to Shelby County post 555. Rip and a miss. Makes it no balls and 2 strikes. Cooper Watkins, the left fielder in this one. Was 1 for 3 against Tuscumbia earlier this morning. Game for Foley that they took a 2-1 lead after 3 and were able to hold on with a couple of runs in the 5th inning. There's a swing and a miss for the strikeout. So good morning, good afternoon, and good night for Cooper Watkins as he goes down on 3 pitches. Bryant Banks, the pitcher, looks to help himself with a 3-run deficit as a swing and a miss. Good pitch that time by Franklin. Able to come in on the hands that time. So no balls and 1 strike. Banks, 6 foot 199. A rising senior. Goes to school at Gulf Shores High School. Rolls this one softly over to Taylor. Throws on the run. And this time the infield able to get the out at first base. And so advancing now to second is Ethan Bettner. And that brings up the cleanup batter Colby Jordan, the third baseman. Jordan reached twice against Tuscumbia, also scored a run. One of the deciding runs in the 5th. As that misses upstairs for ball 1. Winner plays at 1 o'clock tomorrow on Championship Sunday. Now, for the final game, if Shelby County wins, they will face the winner of this ball game at 1. If they lose, they will play at 4 o'clock. Big swing and a miss. 2 balls and 1 strike. We'll talk about it later today, but almost what's the better road to a trophy for Shelby County after today? Keep that in mind as far as our final game scheduled for about a couple of hours from now. 3-1 the count. Troy has built an early 3-0 advantage, as that will hit the strike zone, a strike call. So now a full count at 3-2. Pitch on the way. Called strike 3 on the fastball. Just a little bit above the belt that time. And so Franklin comes up with a couple of strikeouts, as that'll do it for Foley here in the first. No runs, no hits, an error, and 1 left in scoring position. We're through 1, Troy 3, and Foley nothing. We're through 1 inning of play, our 4th of 5 games today here on JockJive.com from Riddle Pace Field on the campus of Troy University. Troy post 70 sent 7 up to the plate in their first at-bat and able to pound out 3 runs to get things going. Wells Gainey, the catcher, his first at-bat. Looking at what he did earlier today against Shelby County. Walked, also struck out and went 0 for 2. A strike call makes it 1 ball and 1 strike. Troy wants to further build their lead early on as we get off the starting blocks for the final game of the day for both of these teams. Is the final game of the tournament for one of them. Pitch upstairs as the count now at 3 balls and 1 strike. 8, 9, and 1 for Troy post 70. Pitch on the way. And that right at the bottom of the strike zone. Full count coming up. Banks can't really afford to give up any more damage as he goes with the breaking ball that bottoms out for the strikeout. Nice pitch in the dirt to get Gainey chasing 1 down. Now at the bottom of the order in the first time through for Troy in their batting order. As that'll miss downstairs. Second baseman Brody Jones to the plate. He reached base a couple of times against Shelby County earlier today. Strike call evens it at 1 ball and 1 strike. Pitch grounded, should be, and instead it goes off the knee, it appears, of the shortstop Brazil. So another fielding miscue for Foley post 99 as a 1-out base runner. And now error number 3 for Foley today. Back to the top of the order as Brady Richardson ripped a leadoff triple on the first pitch of the ball game, and later came home to score a couple of batters later. Skies this one into center. Tuberville looking into the high sky, makes the grab. 2 down as the runner chased back to first base in Brody Jones. Brings up Oford, one of the regular outfielders in the Troy lineup. So Offered to the plate. Lined out to right his last time up as the runner goes. Throw off the mark toward the third base side of second. Stolen base for Jones. Second stolen base as a team so far in this one for Troy. Defending American Legion World Series champions from last year took a shocking loss earlier today. They had not lost a state tournament game since 2019 prior to today. So in a lot of ways, an opportunity to hit the reset button. A strike call evens the count now at 2-2. As Tabor Offered trying to add to the lead. Grounded up the middle, and that gets through for a base hit. Rounding third is Jones as he went on contact. He easily scores to make it now 4-0. Call that a single and an RBI for Offered. Was 1 for 4 earlier today against Shelby County. So that is hit number 3 in the ball game as a team for Troy. So another successful inning for Troy post 70. Almost comes in and hits Hayes McConnell. McConnell earlier today had a sac fly, also 1 for 3 against Shelby County. Reached on an error and later came home to score in the first inning. Right now, Troy in full control early on. But remember, they had a 4-run lead against Shelby County in the 5th and surrendered it all in the 5th. There's still a lot of baseball to go here at Riddle Pace Field. Here's the stretch. And pitch comes home. That's ripped down the line, but that will drop foul. Looks like the clouds starting to darken, as it did not look like we were going to get any rain today, but looking off toward the south, looks like, I don't know if we're going to get that particular shower, but it looks like a gully washer off to our south. Fly ball down the line and right, as Colton Watkins can't catch up to it as it drops foul. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Check the weather radar here. Certainly with the cloud cover should cool things down a little bit. There is some rain off a little bit toward the south, but mostly toward the west, actually. Runner goes. Pitch downstairs. Throw down. That's also not in time. Second stolen base of the inning and first of this ball game for Offord. Or check that McCorkle, I beg your pardon, at the plate as he'll hit one into right field. Should be playable for Colton Watkins, and he makes the catch to retire the side. However, another run comes home to score for Troy. Able to do so on the benefit of a hit and a fielding miscue from Foley, and they leave a runner in scoring position. We go to the bottom of the second inning as Troy's lead increases to 4-0 here on JockJive.com. Bottom of the second inning from Riddle Pace Field in Troy, Alabama. Foley in a 4-run hole going into their second at-bat. Colton Watkins set to lead off. James Paul Nutzi followed behind him, as well as Brady Nichols for Foley post 99. Once again, at least I'm looking off to the west from our press box perch and the home radio, and something at least reminded prior to our last game, looking at the Vizio monitor off to my right up here in the Riddle Pace Field press box. That's where we're located. Is basically the simulcast booth, because Troy University, for their home baseball games, simulcasts both the radio and the ESPN Plus telecasts during the baseball season. Of course, longtime broadcasters Barry McKnight and Jerry Miller have handled Troy baseball broadcasting duties for over 2 decades. They've certainly seen a lot of outstanding Troy baseball teams over the last 2+ decades. A lot of outstanding baseball being seen the last several years as far as this Troy Post 70 program. Took a rare loss in the state tournament earlier today. As we begin the second inning, Colton Watkins gets ahead in the count here. 2 balls and 1 strike. Pitch upstairs, and I'll tell you what, I mentioned in some of the games earlier today, the last time I came here was 10 years ago to Riddle Pace Field to do a Sanford baseball game against Troy. as the foul ball now loads the count full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. It's always been a solid facility, but the renovations that have been done here at Riddle Pace Field, a foul ball back our way. It's just taken this baseball facility to a whole nother level as far as the batting cage area for the players, as far as the luxury areas, as far as the suites and the hospitality areas up here in the press box. And I'll tell you what, the booth that we're in is about as nice as you'll find when it comes to college baseball, especially in the mid-major ranks. Pitch upstairs to Colton Watkins as he reaches on a leadoff walk. I think it's always great as far as Troy University, on the one hand, from their perspective, be able to expose their university to the next crop of students that come through here to play in an event like this, but also for an organization like the American Legion here in the state of Alabama to be able to play at a first-class facility like they're playing this week. James Paul Nuzzi, his first at-bat, as he'll take upstairs. Earlier this morning was 0 for 3 against Tuscumbia. That's bounce foul back our way. Brady Nichols on deck as Foley going with the camo tops today, along with the white pants. And a 4-0 hold, though, as they do have a runner aboard. Hit into left center field and going over, and have to watch that drop down on the turf is Boutwell in center field. So a single into center field, as that'll now put runners at first and second base with nobody down here in the second. Brady Nichols, his first at-bat was 1 for 3 against Tuscumbia earlier this morning. Takes upstairs for ball 1. So far we have not at least noticed any control issues from Jake Franklin today. And that was a big issue for Troy pitching in their loss to Shelby County. Hit back our way, foul, and the count quickly at no balls and 2 strikes. Hayden Brazil on deck. Pitch on the way. And that is in there, a strike call. I'll drop downstairs. Officially 1 ball and 2 strikes. Slapped at, and that's fouled off and out of play. Brady Nichols got the start at first base against Tuscumbia and then later came on the mound to close things out. Pitch on the way. Misses outside. Looking at Brady Nichols, 6'2", 285 pounds. He won't graduate for another couple of years at Foley High, as that's a slow bouncer. Fielded by Franklin and the toss over, and so that'll at least move the runners up an extra base. Colton Watkins to third and James Paul Nuzzi over to second. So 1 down on a 1-3 ground out, basically a glorified sacrifice. Hayden Brazil, the shortstop. Now a chance to potentially drive home a couple. Take a look at what he did in the leadoff spot. Reached base once and went 0 for 3. As he's now batting in the 8th spot in this game. So a shake-up in the lineup for Foley. Trying to find the right combo to get into tomorrow's championship round potentially. 2 balls and no strikes. Still early on in the second. That's fouled back our way. 2 balls and 1 strike. You don't just get all 4 of the runs here if you're Foley in this inning. But you want to be able to get some sort of answer to start to get that comeback effort going. Breaking ball inside corner. 2 balls and 2 strikes. A walk for Watkins and a bloop single for Nutzi. And Nichols grounds out to get them into scoring position, but a nice strikeout of Brazil as a changeup. Well timed that time by Franklin as he's able to get the second out of the inning and right now keep Foley off the board. Sky's starting to darken a little bit. Surprised we don't have the lights on right now here at Riddle Pace Field as the first pitch taken by Mitchell Tuberville. Lifts this one toward the batting cages down the third base line as that goes out of play. So 1 ball and 1 strike. Still early on here in the second. And looks as if the rain, certainly the clouds are getting closer here to Riddle Pace Field. Not been in a rain delay so far yet as the stretch and pitch. And that'll be taken downstairs. Tuberville in a good scenario here. Walked and went 0 for 2 earlier today against Tuscumbia. Changeup floats in there, evens the count now at 2 balls and 2 strikes. A hit pretty much anywhere in the outfield with the runners going on contact. Should get a couple home. However, Franklin has a few other ideas in mind. He's ready. 2-2 comes soon our way, but instead time called. Franklin took a long look at second before he decided if he wanted to come home. Stretch and a big 2-2 offering coming up. That's well inside. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Now, Foley would not mind if they were able to get their leadoff batter up with the bases loaded here in the second. 3-2 pitch. Bouncer over to the right side as Jones fields and has an easy throw to first base in time. Preserves the shutout for Troy as a couple of runners left in scoring position. No runs on a hit, no errors, and 2 left on base for Foley. We're through 2 complete innings of play. It remains Troy 4 and Foley nothing. We're through 2 complete innings of play here at Riddle Pace Field. Our 4th of 5 games today as Troy post 70 on top by a score of 4-0. Still to come, scheduled for an 8 o'clock first pitch, our final game of the day, and a chance for Shelby County post 555 to cement their spot in the 1 p.m. championship game tomorrow. Also an opportunity for Daphne to do so as well. Daphne also pulled out a one-run victory earlier today against Hackleburg. Middle of the order for Troy is Ethan Walls, an RBI single and a run scored in the first. Banks comes home, and that's a strike call. Now, we have not had a weather delay yet, but if we do have a thunderstorm come through as the off-speed pitch in there, a strike call. Besides heavy rain, if there's lightning within a 10-mile radius as the pitch almost hits Walls, if there is lightning within a 10-mile radius, that would trigger an automatic 30-minute weather delay. Have not gotten that to that point yet. Already a couple of innings in the books as the two-strike pitch lifted and fouled down the third base line. For Troy so far today, 4 runs on 3 hits. They've committed 1 error. That's hit in the right center field and pretty well, and a long run as it gets past Tuberville, and that's going to get into the corner. Wells around second, galloping, and now Coach Sin to third with a triple. That was one of the most well-hit balls that we've seen all day so far in any of our games that we've seen. A triple all the way to the deepest part of right center field. Hit number 4, and that now puts Troy in business to at least add to their advantage. Here's the stretch and the pitch on the way. And that's ripped down the line. This could have home run distance. And let's see, don't see a call, and it appears gone over the left field wall. Caden Boutwell hugs the line in left field as he's able to keep it inside the foul pole. And that gives Troy now a 6-0 lead. Our first home run of the day as Ethan Walls also comes home to score on the 2-run jack to left. Jake Franklin to the plate as he hit a sacrifice fly to left his last time up. There's still nobody down as the bases are cleared, and the count at no balls and 1 strike. Fly ball should be an easy play in right for Colton Watkins, and it is 1 down. So Watkins has been busy out in right field defensively. Troy post 70 trying to send a message in this one as they have been aggressive in the early parts of the counts all throughout this game early on. Upstairs, 1 ball and no strikes on Evan Taylor. Taylor grounded into a fielder's choice his last time up. A strike taken this time has the pitch on the way, and that'll miss inside. On deck is Wells Gainey. We've not really approached as far as the 10-run mercy rule so far today, but Troy right now in as much control as we've seen any of the teams so far today. The biggest lead we've seen in any of the 4 games right today. That'll miss downstairs on the 3-1. And so ball 4 puts a runner at first with 1 down. Wells Gainey, his last time up, struck out swinging to begin the second. We'll have time called as a coaching visit, it appears, for Foley post 99. Foley, their head coach, is Larry Bonds. Also Mike Ebert, another one of their head coaches, so kind of co-head coaches. And the team manager is Chad Watkins. That's a brief visit for Foley. And they'll get ready again for this at-bat, the second in as many innings for Wells Gainey. About a third of the way through. Final game of the day for both teams. This is outside, snap, throw down. Good one-hop stab by Nichols over at first. Our final game of the day begins in officially 2 hours, although they may try and start that early as well. Fly ball, shallow right field. Watkins can't catch up to it. Not sure if he was able to recognize where the baseball was, as everybody's safe on the play. So that's going to go down as a single for Gainey, and advances a base runner to second base in Evan Taylor. I'm a little surprised that the lights are not on right now here at Riddle Pace Field. That's hit well into right field, and this time able to be tracked down by Watkins, 2 down. So the runners have to remain put as we go back to the top of the order in Brady Richardson. A triple and a run scored in the first and flied out to center in the second. Richardson a chance to really put this game out of reach. Change up downstairs for a ball. Looking ahead to the bottom half of the third. Top third of the order. And the second time through for Foley coming up. 2 balls and no strikes. Foley so far no runs on 1 hit with 3 errors and 3 left on base. Breaking ball downstairs. 3-0. Richardson, an accomplished hitter in the Alabama high school ranks in the largest classification in the state. Big reason why he's going to the D1 level beginning later on in the 25-26 athletic calendar year. There's a strike call. One of the contenders for Mr. Baseball and 7A Player of the Year this past year. That just nicks the outside corner. So count goes full at 3 balls and 2 strikes, and that means the runners will get a head start on this payoff. That's hit into center field, and that's going to be caught on a running catch by Tuberville to retire the side. 2 more runs come home to score on the Caden Boutwell home run. 2 runs on 3 hits with no errors and 2 left on base. We go to the bottom of the third inning as Troy extends their lead now up to 6-0. Two and a half innings in as we go to the bottom of the third inning. Ethan Bettner, along with Cooper Watkins and Brian Banks, will have their second at-bats, the second time through the order for Foley. As Troy has dominated play so far in this one. They've scored 3 in the first, 1 in the second, and 2 more in their half of the third inning. The winner plays at 1 o'clock tomorrow to begin Championship Sunday. They'll take on either Shelby County post 555 or Daphne. Winner of those two will play at 1 o'clock. If it's Shelby County, it'll be a championship game. And if it's Daphne, it'll be a loser's bracket semifinal. So one of these two teams will punch their spot into tomorrow. Ethan Bettner, the starting pitcher earlier today against Tuscumbia. The second baseman for Foley in this one. Reached on an E4 to begin the first inning. Pitch on the way. And that's taken outside for ball one. This has been by far the most effective pitcher we've seen for Troy today. Jake Franklin, 2 shutout innings. He's allowed just 1 hit, walked 1, and has struck out 3. 1 ball and 1 strike. High pop-up. Who wants it? It'll be the first baseman in Walls, 1 down. Brings up Cooper Watkins, who struck out swinging his last time up. Watkins batting in the number 2 spot for the second consecutive game as he swings and misses for a strike. Looks like just saw our first bolt of lightning off toward the west. Not sure if the umpire saw it, and also has to be within a 10-mile radius of Riddle Pace Field to automatically draw the teams off the field. No balls and 2 strikes. Watkins bats from the left side. That misses upstairs. Check that. They'll update the count here. At least our umpire says, I believe, 1-1. As there's the breaking ball strike, and now makes it 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pop-up goes out of play. Our first rumble of thunder so far today. At least we're safely perched up here in the simulcast booth for Troy Home Broadcasting. Pitch outside. Of course, first thing in mind you want is the safety of the personnel that is down on the field. 2-2. That almost comes in. In fact, it might have actually hit Cooper Watkins as he reaches base. So base runner on now with 1 down. As that'll bring up Bryant Banks, who grounded out to third his last time up. Breaking ball in there. A strike call. Foley left a runner in scoring position the first and then left 2 more in scoring position in the second. Bouncer over to the left side as Richardson throws over to second. A nice play by Brady Richardson to get the lead out. An off-balance throw going away from second base and found Jones on the run. A perfect throw that time for the second out. Nicely done. That was a Division I play from Brady Richardson. Watkins retired for out number 2. Brings up Colby Jordan, who struck out looking to end the first. Pitch in there, a strike call. Imagine if we do get any rain at some point during the rest of the day. Will not last all that long. It does appear we do have some storms off to our west. 2-0. Now make it 3 balls and no strikes. Almost to the halfway point of this elimination game. Stretch and pitch our way. Bounced over to third. A convenient hop for Taylor as he'll go over to first base in time to retire the side. So nothing doing for Foley. No runs on no hits, no errors, and a runner left on base. We're through 3 full innings of play, and it remains Troy 6 and Foley nothing. Almost at the halfway point of our 4th to 5 games today. James Hardy with you here on JockJive.com. The skies have darkened considerably since we got this game started about 45 minutes ago. So we'll have a new pitcher out on the mound for Foley post 99. As we go to the 4th inning, 2, 3, and 4. Coming up to the plate as now the lights starting to come on here at Riddle Pace Field. Tabor offered an RBI single his last time up. Swing and a miss to level the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. That's hit to the right side, a soft line drive that is, and that's caught for out number 1. Flagged down that time by Nichols over at first base is offered now 1 for 3. Thinking maybe Mitchell Tuberville that's out on the mound for Foley. As that's hit first pitch into right field. Going back, Watkins settles in and makes the grab quickly. 2 down as Hayes McCorkle retired. So quickly 2 up and 2 down as Ethan Walls to the plate. He's had a good day so far. A single, a triple, an RBI, and 2 runs scored. That comes up and in for a ball. 1 ball and no strikes. And now make it 1 ball and 1 strike. We've seen that high strike at least maybe appear a little higher than it may really be from where we're sitting. Misses outside 2-1. Troy in good position to reach the championship round tomorrow. Lifted into left field as going back will be Cooper Watkins, and he makes the grab. And quickly 1-2-3 goes Troy in the 4th inning, the first time they have not scored in an inning so far in this ball game. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning, halfway home, as it remains Troy 6 and Foley nothing. Ominous skies closing in on Riddle Pace Field, but we have yet to see a raindrop so far or lightning within a 10-mile radius to stop this ball game. Halfway home, final game of this day. Final Saturday in the month of July for Troy and for Foley post 99. And it's been all Troy post 70 so far, as they own a 6-0 lead. They've led wire to wire so far. This was the point in the ball game against Shelby County when the wheels came off the bus in that 5th inning. They were up 4-0 going into that half inning. In the 5th inning, before Shelby County was able to put a 6 spot, the decisive inning in that winner's bracket game. Colton Watkins leads off as he'll get ahead in the count. 1 ball and no strikes. Watkins walked to lead off the second and takes a strike call here. 1 ball and 1 strike. Pitch on the way, and that's taken outside. Hitters count. 3 balls and 1 strike as Watkins lays off high and away. Franklin gotten ahead for the most part in the counts as he'll issue a 5-pitch walk here, however, to get things started in the bottom of the 4th inning. So Colton Watkins has walked a couple of times so far. Brings up James Paul Nutzi, who singled into center field his last time up. Still a lot of work to do for Foley post 99 to battle back. Stretch coming up, and the pitch on the way, and that's outside. We were supposed to start at 5:30, got started about an hour ago, and I think we probably have looking at the reason why we got started a little early. Try and get as much of this game in before any sort of inclement weather came in. A strike call. 1 ball and 1 strike. Bottom of the 4th inning. Wind also starting to pick up a little bit. There is a tarp that is covering the front row of seats closest to that protective netting here at Riddle Pace Field. Wind picking up even more as the pitch a strike call. Definitely airing out the press box up here. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And definitely cooling things off after a hot late July afternoon as that gets to the backstop. We had for much of the afternoon temperatures get, at least the actual air temperature, closer to about 90 degrees, but with the humidity made it feel closer to 100. 2-strike pitch from Franklin. Called strike 3 on the outside corner. So 1 down here in the bottom of the 4th inning. As that'll bring up Brady Nichols, the first baseman. Nichols a ground out to the pitcher his last time up. Here comes the pitch on the way. And that'll be taking a strike call. Nichols 1 for 5 in his 2 games so far as he swings and misses, and he'll fall behind in the count. Two-strike pitch downstairs. After the wild pitch, Colton Watkins in scoring position as a wave and a miss for the strikeout. So 2 down here in the 4th inning. I'll take a look. The strikeouts starting to add up for Jake Franklin. Up to 5 strikeouts as Hayden Brazil looking to get his team on the board. That misses inside for a ball. One and 0, and now 1 ball and 1 strike. Just gets the outside corner. We haven't gotten any raindrops so far yet. As the pitch outside. Now, a lot of Alabama and the Deep South has been able to get at least some rain so far this week. Swing and a miss high up in the strike zone. In fact, out of the strike zone. As that'll make it 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pitch downstairs, and so Franklin trying to preserve the shutout here. As we're almost 4 full innings in. Stretch and the pitch on the way. Called strike 3 on the outside corner. Some of the Foley supporters did not like that call. However, according to the home plate umpire, just does get the outside corner to end the inning. So a runner once again left in scoring position. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 left on base. We're through 4 complete innings of play. It's an elimination game between Foley Post 99 and Troy Post 70, with Troy on top 6-0. We're about to go to the top of the 5th inning, but it appears that the teams have been called off the field right now as we're through 4 innings of play here at Riddle Pace Field in the Alabama American Legion State Baseball Tournament. The next 2 final game of the day. 5 games in total today here on day 3 of the American Legion State Baseball Tournament. James Hardy with you. And it appears that the grounds crew about to put the protective tarp over the pitcher's mound, as this is a turf field here at Riddle Pace Field, so it can certainly absorb a lot of water that comes from the sky. So the main objective is to protect that pitcher's mound at all costs, as we are in a rain delay here at Riddle Pace Field. And once again, your current score through 4 innings of play, it is Troy Post 70 with a 6-0 advantage over Foley Post 99, as there's still 3 more full innings to go here from Riddle Pace Field. So we will step aside here for this timeout. We'll see how far this weather delay goes. Our first delay of the day is we'll step aside. Once again, your score through 4 innings to play in the top of the 5th inning. It is Troy 6 and Foley nothing. We return to you from Riddle Pace Field on the campus of Troy University. We just got out of about an hour and 20-minute rain delay as we begin the top of the fifth inning as Troy posts 70 at bat, leading 6-0 as they've led ever since their first at bat in the first inning. It'll be the middle of the order as a fly ball sent to right field and hit well, and that goes high off the green monster. Bounces back into play as Caden Boutwell goes into third base with the leadoff triple here in the top of the fifth inning. So Boutwell, a big night offensively here in the final elimination game of the day for both of these teams. Boutwell, in addition to a triple, had a 2-run homer in the third and walked in the first inning. So he's reached base now 3 times, as coming to the plate will be Jake Franklin. James Hardy with you, as we appreciate you for sticking us out here on JockJive.com. This is an elimination game to see who advances to Championship Sunday tomorrow. Fly ball into left field as Cooper Watkins gets the catch. Coming home and able to score run number 7 is Caden Boutwell. A sacrifice fly RBI, as that makes it now 7-0. 1 down here in the fifth inning. The top of the fifth inning has Troy, the visiting team, the designated visiting team, here in this elimination game. Nobody on base now for Evan Taylor as he walked his last time up. Swings and fouls it off. A well-played game all the way around so far prior to the rain delay. As Troy having their way with Foley up by a touchdown. That gets to the backstop for Foley post 99. They started at Bryant Banks as he went 3 innings. Pitch on the way, and that's hit into left field. Hit actually more towards center field pretty well, but going back into Tuberville, able to make the grab. 2 down. So what appears to be at least a clear path for Troy post 70 to get to tomorrow, as they need just 9 more outs to close out their day today. They lost earlier 6-4 to Shelby post 555. Shelby County post 555. Gainey to the plate. Wells Gainey, the catcher, as he gets ahead in the count, or now evens the count at 1-1. Gainey a single his last time up, also struck out in the second. Takes outside 2 balls and 1 strike. A 2-1 record this week for both of these teams coming into this ball game, as that's hit foul and out of play. Still 1 more game to go before closing out the day. A total of 5 games today. So the rain delay adding about an hour and 20 minutes to that for all of us. Pitch on the way. And a little bit outside, but had some competitive baseball really through the first 3 games today. And now Troy post 70 all over Foley post 99, as that 3-1 misses downstairs for ball 4. So a 2-out base runner for Troy. And that rain certainly cooled things down a little bit. We had been close to 90 degrees for much of the afternoon, with the feels like temperature closer to 100. And now when we look at our present conditions, still a little bit overcast as we head toward the nighttime hours. Maybe a chance for a little more light rain before we get to the end of the day. Now down to 78 degrees, a lot more comfortable with the feels like temperature of 84. A walk for Gainey as Brody Jones at the bottom of the order takes outside. Still an outside chance potentially for Troy to be able to get to double digits and maybe get a run rule victory today. Upstairs as the snap throw down. That's not in time. So Foley on the short end of a 7-0 decision as they've left their fair share of base runners on base as that pitch outside for ball 4. Another walk for Foley pitching as that now puts Gainey at second base and Jones aboard at first. Back to the top of the order. Brady Richardson, a leadoff triple and a run scored, and a couple of flyouts to center in his most recent 2 at-bats. 1 ball and no strikes. Pitch on the way. Richardson really got the tone of this game started on the very first pitch with that triple to left center field. Breaking ball downstairs. So Foley struggling to get a strike here. Let's check that Tuberville on the mound now for a second inning of work. As he's searching for the strike zone now, 3 balls and no strikes to one of the top hitters in this tournament. Fly ball. Fairly good drift into right field as the catch will be made by Colton Watkins to retire the side. However, 1 more run comes home to score on the benefit of 1 hit, no errors, and 2 left on base. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning. All Troy post 70 as they lead 7-0. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning as Troy leads 7-0 over Foley. They've scored in all Troy has but 1 of their at-bats. In this elimination game, the winner takes on either Daphne or Shelby County tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Daphne or Shelby County, they'll play following the conclusion of this one. That's the good thing so far about us being ahead. We have a little wiggle room on the back end as far as being able to still work around the rain and get all of a busy schedule, 5 games in total, in on this Saturday evening. So Shelby County post 5:55 as well as Daphne. They'll likely at this point, they'll start about 30 to 40 minutes following the conclusion of this ball game, and we're almost to basically about the official game mark as we're 4.5 innings in. For Foley, they'll have their 9, 1, and 2 spots due up. Once again, we appreciate you for sticking with us through a 90-minute rain delay, almost. A foul ball back our way by Mitchell Tuberville, who came in as the relief pitcher about a couple of innings ago. There's a swing and a miss, as that'll make the count now no balls and 2 strikes. Pitch on the way, and that's downstairs. Jake Franklin got the start. See if he remains out there on the mound as we're just underway in the bottom of the fifth. On the inside corner, called strike three. So it looks like Evan Taylor might actually be out on the mound as he'll get some innings almost to the point of calling it mop-up duty. Nice pitch, however, to record the first out of this bottom of the fifth inning. As Mitchell Tuberville goes down on strikes, one down, back to the top of the order. As Ethan Betker, the second baseman, 0 for 2, reached on an error and then popped up to first as a strike call. Makes it 1 ball and 1 strike. Cooper Watkins also scheduled for an at-bat. A wave and a miss there, actually a 2-strike count. And so another strikeout on the part of Troy pitching. So Evan Taylor now getting some quality work as he has a couple of strikeouts. Swing and a miss is so far the off-speed pitch working well for Taylor. I think Franklin and Taylor switch spots over at third and the pitcher's mound. Taylor looking good so far. Benefit of a 7-run advantage as that's a weak foul ball to quickly make it a 2-strike count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Breaking ball outside, 2-2. Certainly feels a lot less muggy around the ballpark after the rain delay, as that'll loop foul toward the batting cages. A big advantage, no matter what the size school you have, as far as being able to have a quality indoor batting cage. As an impressive inning here in the fifth for Taylor as he strikes out the side as Watkins goes down swinging. So that'll quickly do it for Foley as we're 5 innings in. Nobody, at least nothing done for Foley in the fifth. We go to the sixth. Still Troy 7 and Foley nothing. Foley post 99 trails Troy post 70 7-0. Going to the top of the sixth inning, Mitchell Tuberville back on the mound for his third inning of work. What it would appear to be pretty much mop-up duty at this point. James Hardy with you. Troy trying to put the finishing touches on their final game of the day. A disappointing loss earlier this afternoon at the hands of Shelby County post 555, who we'll see probably in about 30 minutes to an hour or so. We go to the sixth inning as Tabor Offord fouls it off. Tuberville winds and comes home. Ground ball left side, and that gets through for a base hit. So hit number 7 today for Troy, a powerhouse program here in the Yellowhammer State. American Legion World Series champions last season, and long-time powers as their loss today. The first time they had lost a state tournament game since 2019. Looks as if time called as we're going to have a coaching visit for Foley here in the top of the 6th inning. And would not be shocked if that's all for Tuberville. Looks as if Coach Larry Bonds makes his way out to the mound. Actually, we're talking about this with one of our Shelby County Post 555 personnel from the American Legion. And, of course, the American Legion known for over a century now as far as not only the baseball product on the field during this time of the year all across the country, but, of course, their service and promotion of our veterans that have served the red, white, and blues so proudly for decades and generations now. In fact, just reading when it comes to the first thing that you see on American Legion Post 99s, that's down in Foley. Our mission is to enhance the well-being of America's veterans, their families, our military, and our communities by our devotion to mutual healthiness. The American Legion's vision statement is the American Legion Veteran Strengthening America. That's part of their mission statement, the first thing that you see up on their homepage. And of course, some of those values of veteran selfless service, and of course, the time-honored red, white, and blue American values of patriotism. So the meeting comes to an end as we have resumed play. Runner at first base and nobody down with a 1 ball and no strike count to McCorkle. And here's some activity that appears down in the batting cages as far as the teams all waiting in the green room for our final game of the night. That's hit hard into left field for a base hit. Nice job by McCorkle as he turns on a 1-0 pitch and rips it into left field. So now runners at first and second with nobody out. And I'll tell you what, I think Troy has some ideas of maybe putting that 10 spot on the board and seeing if they can end this game early. Ethan Walls to the plate as he swings and fouls it off. Daphne and Shelby County on deck in the green room for our final game of the day. That's hit up the middle, and that's hit hard for a base hit. Rounding third will be Offord as he'll score, and sliding into third is McCorkle. And on the throw on the back end into second is Ethan Walls with an RBI single. Ethan Walls 3 for 4 with a couple of RBIs as Offord scores his first run of the game. And McCorkle also into third. So that makes it 8-0 in favor of Troy Post 70. See if we can get a look as far as just the profile for Troy Post 70 here in the host city for this tournament. Right now at the plate is Boutwell, who's looking at least halfway to the cycle here. Has reached base 3 times. As the count now goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. A walk, a 2-run homer to left in the third, and then a triple and a run scored in the 5th. Pitch goes inside. 3 balls and 1 strike. Of course, Troy American Legion post 70, a baseball powerhouse as that gets past the third baseman in Jordan, as a couple of runs will score. As around second goes Boutwell. He'll go into third uncontested. See if that goes down as an extra base hit. Actually, it looks as if they might call that an error on the play. In any case, the floodgates have opened here at Riddle Pace Field with now a 10-0 lead, and it appears a new pitcher set to come in for Foley post 99. Coach Larry Bonds with his second visit of this inning, so that'll trigger a pitching change for the designated home team. So Troy avenging their earlier loss to Shelby County as they've put a 10 spot on the board in this ball game, 3 in the inning, and we'll step aside for this timeout. I'll tell you who the new pitcher is after this. We come out of this timeout. A new pitcher comes in for Foley post 99. Mitchell Tuberville exits. And it'll be Braden Byers coming into the ball game. Or check that, I beg your pardon. Hayden Brazil moves from his shortstop spot as he'll try and get at least 3 outs here in the top of the 6th inning as Troy on top 10-0 as they've scored in every one but one of their 6 at-bats so far tonight. A 1 hour, 20-minute rain delay couldn't stop the momentum that Troy has been able to show so far this evening. They got out early, withstood a couple of potential rallies that Foley appeared that they could have gone on. Foley has left actually 5 on base. They left a couple on base. In fact, got the first 2 batters in the second on base, but could not score. Runner at third, and almost the pitch comes in. At least too far that time as Caden Boutwell over at third after a 2-run triple. He now has 4 RBIs today. And pitch gets to the backstop, so that'll clear the bases on the wild pitch as a run comes home to score. Makes it 11-0 as now the bases are cleared. So it appears once we get to the bottom of the 6th inning that Foley will need a couple of runs to keep the game going. Wind and pitch. And that gets to the backstop, 2-0. Troy post 70, winners of the American Legion World Series in 2 of the last 3 seasons, winners in 22 and last season. Also have won region titles the last 3 seasons. When you look at what Troy's been able to do tonight, 3 runs in the first, 1 in the second, 2 in the third, 1 in the fifth, and so far 3 here in the 6th inning as that pitch gets to the backstop. And so Franklin able to reach on a walk as now he's at second base on a wild pitch, and still nobody out here in the 6th inning. Foley has just run out of gas at this point as that almost comes in to hit Evan Taylor. Lights have been on since the clouds darkened about almost 2 hours ago, really now. A much-needed cooling off here at Riddle Pace Field as that's lined and foul. 2 balls and 1 strike. We'll begin the day tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I think we can pretty much put in magic marker Troy Post 70 into that 1 o'clock game. That's downstairs. Good lead for Franklin at second as that's popped up. Tough time for Nutsi to locate it as that goes out of play. So it makes it 2-2. 5 batters have reached base, the first 5 in this inning. For Troy Post 70, they're in their scarlet tops, camouflage tops for Foley Post 99. Rolls foul past the third base bag. Imagine at the pace we're going, we'll probably get our final game of the day sometime, I would guess, around 8:45 or so. Pop-up, foul territory, as Nichols makes the catch for the very first out of the inning. So there's the elusive first out. Wells Gainey to the plate. Or check that, Jacob Shiver now grabs a bat. So it appears that, imagine both teams are going to just clear their bench at this point. I believe this is the first time we've seen him so far in either game today. Exactly what do you want, though, in a blowout? And so go ahead and clear your benches and get as much, if not all, of your roster in and get some quality playing time in postseason. Yeah, Gainey at the plate as he sends that into right center as that falls beyond the outstretched hands of the center fielder. As coming home to score will be Franklin. And Wells Gainey with an RBI double. So now that makes it a score of 12-0. Gainey into third, as he'll actually pick up an RBI triple. A 12-run advantage as that pitch inside. Now a good evening to just sprawl out and relax as far as some of the comfortable seating here at Riddle Pace Field. A far cry from just how hot it was earlier this afternoon. Fouled off to the right side, and that goes out of play. In a little more than a month, I imagine we'll be seeing at least the parking lots around Riddle Pace Field and Trojan Arena, as well as the walkway beyond the left field wall leading up to Memorial Stadium, packed with tailgaters for Troy Trojans football. Pitch on the way is outside and downstairs for ball 4. So still 1 out, and now runners at the corners as Brody Jones walks. And now Troy has batted around here in the 6th inning. Back to the top of the order for Brady Richardson. He's flied out his last 3 times, a couple times at center, and also once to right field. Breaking ball downstairs. Troy showing no mercy at this point to Foley post 99. As that's hit pretty well into center. Should drive a run home. As catch made out in center and easily tagging and scoring will be Gainey to make it 14-0. Or check that 13-0 here. As now a runner at first base with 2 down. So first RBI today for Richardson. 10th batter to the plate this inning in Offord, as he'll take for ball 1. So 6 have come home to score. By far the largest run-scoring inning in this game, and really of any of the 2 games today. Pitch. That'll miss up and in. Jones still over at first base for Troy now with 2 down. That's sliced down the line, and that'll drop in fair territory. Jones, the green light around third, as the ball just gets to the cutoff man. And a run scores now to make it 14-0 on a Tabor Offord RBI triple. So looking at my scorecard, it appears that every one of the starters for Troy offensively have either gotten a hit, scored, or driven a homer run in this ball game, as a foul ball by Hayes McCorkle makes it no balls and 1 strike. McCorkle singled and scored earlier this inning. Pitch outside. 1 ball and 1 strike as we have hit nightfall here at Riddle Pace Field. Started action at 9 o'clock this morning as a bouncer foul, so we're coming up. Actually, we are past, including the rain delay, 11 hours worth of baseball today. I think all of us here that have been at the ballpark since before 9 will be getting good night's rest at the hotel later this evening. Still 1 more game to go, however, as the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. High bouncer over to third. Convenient hop, and the throw across, let's see, is, I believe, in time or no, maybe the foot off the bag. As it appears another run does come home to score. And it looks as if the foot did come off the bag as the 8th run of the inning comes home to score. So McCorkle reaches base. Call that an E5 as Ethan Walls fouls it off. What more than likely is the final at bat in this ball game for Troy as a team. They came in up 7-0 to begin this inning and now have more than doubled their run total here in this 6th inning. Looks as if a bad issue for Ethan Walls as he'll return to the plate with an 0-1 count. Looking ahead to Foley's last at bat, they'll have their 3, 4, and 5 batters due up. Total domination tonight for the Troy Post 70 squad as that gets to the backstop. Once Troy was able to build their lead, it's just been tough for Foley to try and at least stop the momentum and be able to make any sort of comeback effort after That left a couple of runners on base in the second. That breaks on the outside corner. So 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pitch on the way. Ripped down the line, but that will hook foul as it almost had home run distance. I'll tell you the one thing I do like about that green monster down the right field line is that bullseye by Troy Bank and Trust. That's right in the middle of that right field monster. I think there's some promotion that's involved with that. As far as if a batter hits the bullseye during a game. Pitch gets away, but not far enough from Nutzi to allow the runner at second to advance. McCorkle at second base. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Popped up, but that's going to get out of play. I imagine both teams are ready to get this game over with, as there is no doubt about who's going to win this ball game. Troy came ready to play for this one, and they have flexed their muscle so far. And looks as if a foul ball, I believe. And indeed a foul ball, as that'll keep the at-bat alive. Shelby County and Daphne eagerly awaiting to get out on the field. As that's on the inside corner, a called strike 3 to close out the top of the 6th inning. So that'll do it for Troy as they more than double their lead, scoring 8 in the 6th as they need just 3 outs away to advance to the championship Sunday tomorrow, as they now lead 15-0 going to the bottom of the 6th. New pitcher here in the 6th inning for Troy post 70 as Tabor offered, looking to close out the night for Troy. Also some shuffling defensively as Evan Taylor goes into left field from his relief pitching spot. One more game to go tonight, as we've mentioned, Shelby County and Daphne on deck. Shelby County needs to win just 2 games to take home. Actually, technically, even if they lost tonight, they could win an if necessary game tomorrow. They could win as few as 1, depending on circumstances later tonight, to take home a state championship. Right now, Troy would need to finish off this game and win 2 more tomorrow if they want to repeat again as state champions. And also, when you look at Daphne, they would have to win against Shelby County tonight to remain alive for tomorrow. Force at least a 3-team scenario for Championship Sunday, and then not only in addition to winning tonight's game, but win both the first game tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and then if the winner-take-all, what would be a winner-take-all championship game tomorrow. Banks at the plate as he'll slice that one foul. Kind of an inside-out swing to make it no balls and 1 strike. Banks 0 for 2 has Foley just one hit as a team tonight. Ran into a machine in Troy post 70 as 1 ball and 1 strike now. Troy with the finish light in sight a little bit early after the 8 runs in their half of this inning. Wind and the pitch on the way. Bounced right back to the boxes. Tabor settles himself down and then tosses over to first base in time for out number 1. 1-3 on the put out. This head is now 7 in a row set down by Troy pitching. Colby Jordan to the plate as he is struck out as well as grounded out to third. Tabor will misfire downstairs. There's 1 inning against Shelby County that cost Troy earlier today. As prior to that 6-run 5th inning, they had pretty much set the tone, had cruised along through the first 4 innings of play. That misses outside. So 3 balls and no strikes. We'll have about a 30-minute break before our final game tonight. There's a strike call. I think just about everybody in this ballpark is ready for this game to finally get to the finish line. Sliced out of play foul, 3-2. A good run so far this week for Foley as they've been able to take home a victory today. A couple of victories so far this week. Grounder and nice job by the first baseman Walls as he'll go to the bag himself. 2 down. So Foley down to their final out of the tournament. There's a loss with 1 more out, and they'll have their tournament run come to a close. Colton Watkins has reached base twice on a walk. That almost gets the backstop on the fly. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe a little wet grip on the baseball there. One thing that certainly helps as far as a turf field is that you have far fewer issues during a rain delay, and really didn't have a downpour during that hour and 20 minutes. Inside out swing, a grounder over to third. The field and throw across a little off the bag, but no worries as Walls takes care of it from there for a 1-2-3 inning in the 6th. And that will do it as far as a dominating run rule victory for Troy over Foley by a score of 15-0. Once again, nothing doing for Foley here in the 6th inning as Foley will have their tournament run come to a close. And Troy will cap off the night with, as we mentioned, a dominating 15-0 performance, just an all-around flexing of the muscle for Troy post 70, coming off of a tough loss earlier today to Shelby County. Star of this ball game, Caden Boutwell, I beg your pardon. 2 triples and a homer along with 4 RBIs. And 3 runs scored. We'll step aside here. Our final of 5 games today. We're almost to the finish line, folks, as the 5th and final game and what could be the final semifinal game of the week between Shelby County and as well as Daphne coming up in about 30 to 35 minutes here on JockJive.com.